Hi, everyone. Welcome to Disrupting the Script, Rewriting the Narrative, Overextending Less so that we can live more here at the 2025 Sixth Annual Women's Mental Health Conference at Yale. All right, so I am Dr. Jada Philips, and I am a wife, a mother, a daughter, a sister, an aunt, a friend. I'm also a psychologist, a coach, a veteran, and I am someone who knows what it means to give and give until you forget what it means to simply be. For years, I lived by roles: the strong one, the reliable one, the one who has it all together. And for a while, I wore those titles like an armor. They protected me and they kept me safe until I realized that they were also keeping me from my own needs, from my truth, and most importantly, they kept me from my joy. So before we go any further, I want to ask you all a question that once stopped me in my own tracks. Who are you outside of the roles that you play? If that question hits something deep or feels hard to answer, you're in the right place. Because today we're going to disrupt some of the scripts that you've been following without even realizing it and begin the work of writing something new. All right, so I'm going to ask it again. Who are you? Who are you outside of the work that you do, outside of the titles that you hold, and the people that you care for? I was asked the same question a few years ago, and honestly, I was so stumped. And now, when I ask others, I often get the same response: a confused look, a quiet pause, and the words, uh, I don't know. And then sometimes, and almost always, followed by tears. Because that question cuts deep. And then for me, when I got quiet, really quiet, here's what came up. I am a loving, caring, deeply empathetic woman who values connection and freedom and travel and time with my family and friends. And I love meaningful conversations. I move through life with curiosity, a childlike sense of adventure and fun. And I have a deep love for food. I am a big foodie, y'all, and I love to share meals with others. And I'm on a mission to help heal one heart, one soul at a time. I truly love hearing people's stories and holding space for others to share what's true for them. That exchange of presence and truth, no armor, like just our raw selves, ugh, it's simply magic. And that is who I am beyond the degrees and the titles and everything else that I named earlier in this presentation. So I want to ask you again, who are you beyond the roles that you occupy in life, beyond who you show up as for everyone else in your life? What truly defines you? What are your core values? What are your beliefs? What are your passions? What makes you feel most like you? Because understanding your true self, that's where alignment begins. That's how we build a grounded life that reflects our own truth. And if this question, who are you, still feels hard to answer, that's okay. Trust and believe you are not alone. And that's exactly what this space is here for: to begin the remembering and to come back home to yourself. The overextension script. Many of us have inherited a script, one that tells us we'll need to be everything for everyone. We say yes out of obligation. We push through when we're exhausted. We give more so we won't disappoint. This isn't just behavior, it is survival, but it is also the root of our depletion. The overextension script convinces us that being constantly productive is what makes us valuable, that rest is weakness, and that saying no means that we're letting someone down. But here's what I see all the time in my work: so many beautiful, brilliant, capable women can't stop moving. And it's not because they want to do it all, but because slowing down feels like failure, feels like laziness, and it feels uneasy to their trained nervous system. Because how do you slow down when you've been conditioned to believe that moving, doing, going, hustling is what you should be doing? My clients will tell me, I'm not doing enough. I need to do more. I feel lazy if I sit still. I feel guilty if I rest. If I don't do it, it won't get done. That constant saying yes out of fear, out of guilt, or out of habit becomes a silent no to yourself. No to your time, no to your rest, no to your joy. And then over time, this starts to take a toll on us, on our body, on our mind, and overall on our spirit. And that's what we're here to change. So, where did this script come from? Well, these scripts, they don't come out of nowhere. We absorb them from our families, from our cultures, from our workplaces, from our environments, and from the wounds we've carried. And as everyone has learned during Dr. Bouquet's keynote, the trauma that we carry within us from generations. From a young age, we internalize the unspoken rules: be helpful, be strong, don't rest, don't need too much, don't cry. And then the most favorite run: be seen and not heard. Cultural expectations reward productivity over peace. We are praised for being busy, but rarely for being well. Our family dynamics teach us what love is supposed to look like, what responsibility means. And sometimes that means becoming the one who holds it all together, even at our own expense. And then we have our professional roles. And again, over here in the helping fields, especially in the helping fields, where we are encouraged to overextend to prove that we're capable so that we can earn our worth. And for many of us, trauma writes the script of survival. We learn to overcommit, to overfunction, to overgive just to feel safe, just to feel seen, and just to feel enough. And I'm not here just to name the script. I'm here to also trace the roots. Because when you can see where they come from, you can start to loosen its grip. And knowing this, it gives you permission to unlearn, to recognize the pattern without blame or shame. And I had to do this work too, y'all. I do not teach from a mountaintop. I actually live what I guide others through. And for a long time, I was following the script that said I had to prove myself, I had to prove my worth, even in my education. The bachelor's degree wasn't enough. The master's degree wasn't enough. The second master's degree, can anybody guess? Still wasn't enough. So I literally told myself, if I get a PhD, no one can deny me. And truthfully, it worked. I get more respect when people say Dr. Jada than when they just say Jada. But I now see how that drive came from a place of feeling like I wasn't enough unless I could prove it. And that's the thing about these scripts. They're sneaky. They often look like ambition or strength, but underneath they're rooted in fear and survival. And most importantly, they're rooted in self protection. But awareness, y'all, awareness is key. Awareness is the first step towards change, towards choice, and towards getting your power back. Overextending isn't just tiring, it's costly. It leads to burnout, which is a state of emotional, physical, and mental exhaustion caused by prolonged stress, which often stems from a work overload, not feeling in control, constantly giving without receiving, and most of all, not listening to our bodies, not honoring our needs, and never taking time to rest. Overextending also creates resentment. It is that quiet anger we carry when we've said yes too many times. But let me be clear, resentment is not a flaw, it's feedback. Resentment is one of the clearest signs that a boundary is needed. Then there's emotional disconnection from others and from yourself. Because a constant yes to something or someone else, as I said earlier, is a silent no to yourself. When you are always pouring out, you lose access to your own needs. You stop hearing your internal voice. The distance grows, relationships suffer, and even your own joy starts to fade. And then finally, we hit exhaustion, a version of you that's constantly running on empty, where everything feels like too much and rest feels completely out of reach at this point. But here's the truth: you cannot serve from an empty space. No matter how much heart you have, you cannot pour from an empty cup. And yet, so many of us keep trying. That's the cost of staying in the script. But awareness gives us choice, and that's where the shift begins. So it's time to write something new, a story where your needs matter, where you honor your energy, and where caring for yourself isn't selfish, it's foundational, it is essential. Rewriting that narrative starts with permission. Permission for you to stop, permission for you to rest, permission to choose what's right for you, permission to say no. Because when you begin to recognize the value of your own needs, you create space for some form of balance, whatever that looks like for you in this season. It's a balance that's not perfect, but it's intentional. It's one that honors both responsibilities and rest. And most importantly, it has to honor you. And that shift, it doesn't just support your mental and emotional well being, it also creates healthier, more honest relationships with others, where, for the most part, everyone's needs, including yours, most importantly, yours, are seen, heard, and respected. Because when you matter, everything changes. Fulfillment grows, your mental health strengthens, boundaries actually feel possible. Who would have thought? And then you begin to live from a place of alignment, not obligation. And when you're aligned, your capacity expands. So let's look at one small shift here. Instead of saying, if I don't do it, who will? Let's try saying, I can care deeply because I want to help without caring at all because I don't have to or need to. That simple reframe reminds us you can still show up for others without abandoning yourself. When we embrace that shift, we support others without becoming overwhelmed. We create space for growth, clarity, and resilience because prioritizing your well being, again, is not selfish. It's actually what makes your care sustainable. And these kinds of shifts, they allow for you to show up with love without losing yourself in the process. So I want to give everyone a small moment to reflect. What's one outdated script that you've been living? One that it's time to release so that you can grow and shift. Maybe it's a belief like, I have to do it all. Or maybe it's a role like being a fixer. Or maybe it's a habit like always saying yes, even when you want to say no. I want you all to think of something that feels heavy, something that keeps you boxed in, and something that's no longer true for who you are today. You can write it down, you can name it silently, or you can simply sit with it. So we'll take 90 seconds together to pause, breathe, and reflect. But before we pause, I want to share something. Have any of you ever been to the National Museum of African American History and Culture in DC? If you haven't, no worries. And for those of you who have, you know the museum is built by levels, and you start at the basement level, which is a pretty heavy level to start in. And in that museum, somewhere in the middle, I don't remember what floor it is, they have a room called the contemplation room. It's quiet. There's water running in there. It's coming down like rain from the ceiling. Benches to sit, a space to just be. It's not a place to figure anything out. It's a place to feel, to process, and to honor what comes up, to sit with it. That's what this moment is about, too. So as you look at the slide, whether you choose to journal, close your eyes, or just breathe, I invite you to treat this as your own contemplation room. No fixing, no rushing, just space to reflect and be with whatever comes up. So, right now, let's check my time. Right now, perfect. We'll start and take 90 seconds together to reflect. All right, come back. So, as we come back from the reflection, I want to remind you of a few things that are really important to hold on to as you move forward. Self compassion is essential. This work isn't about doing everything perfectly because that would be counterintuitive and counterproductive. It's about staying connected to yourself with kindness. And if all you do today was say, may I be gentle with myself? Trust that is more than enough. Balance is a practice. You might slip back into old patterns. Actually, you will slip back into old patterns, and that is okay. It is actually normal and expected. You're a human, you're learning. Your nervous system needs to feel safe as it adapts to a new script. And every time you become aware of it, that is a new opportunity to choose differently because that's the gift. Awareness creates choice. And choice is how we reclaim our power, one decision, one boundary, one breath at a time. You are not here to be everything for everyone. You are here to be whole for yourself. That wholeness is what makes your care sustainable and makes your presence powerful. Because when you live from your wholeness, your value is no longer tied to how much you give or who you please or what you do, and most importantly, what title you hold. You begin to recognize how overextending leads to burnout. You feel the cost in your body. And guess what? You start to choose differently. You start choosing what nourishes you, what fills you up, and you do it without guilt, or for the most part, without guilt. Because when you're full, everyone around you benefits too. And here's what I want to leave you with: it's not about doing more, it's about doing differently. It's about letting go, it's about creating space, and it's about choosing to live in alignment with what's true for you. When you let go of the script, you make space for your truth to lead so that you can live more. I just want to thank everyone so much for having me here and sharing this space. I know the 20 minutes isn't long, but if something stirred in you today, if you saw yourself in anything that I spoke about, I hope, I hope that you will give yourself permission to keep exploring. And of course, I would love to stay connected to everyone or whoever wants to stay connected. Whether you're curious about going deeper, you want more support, or you just want to stay in this energy, you can find me here, the email, website, two websites, and social media. And I want you to remember this: your wholeness is not a luxury, it's your foundation. So let's keep rewriting the script, one sentence, one paragraph, one page at a time. This is a movement, not just a message.